Good to see you.
man.
Good to see you. I'm a little late, y'all.
For if those who are nothing think they are something, they deceive themselves. All must test their own work. Then that work, rather than their neighbor's work, will become a cause for pride. For all must carry their own loads. Those who are taught the word must share in all good things with their teacher. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For you reap whatever you sow. If you sow to your own flesh, you will reap corruption from the flesh. But if you sow to the Spirit, you will reap eternal life from the Spirit. So let us not grow weary in doing what is right. For we will reap at harvest time if we do not give up. So then, whenever we have an opportunity, let us work. And in the midst of all of these wrestling matches, he always made sure that he made it a point to tell me that he was always going to win. We were 8 years apart, and so he made it clear that he was the top dog. But in the midst of all the fights and arguments and wrestling matches we had over the years, there was one thing that I knew would always be true. He would always have my back when it mattered most. And one of the stories that I had been thinking about that this came to light was when we were on a family road trip to New York to visit my uncle. Yes, this is the same uncle that I told you about a couple weeks ago that I used McDonald's and Burger King in order to get to his house. It seems that good stories happen when we go visit this uncle. Nonetheless, so we're on our way up and the whole family is with us. So it's my parents and then my brother and I. And we're probably about an hour and a half away from my uncle's house. And we stopped at a rest stop, and so everyone gets out and he goes inside, goes to the bathroom. And my brother and I have too many nice things to say. In fact, yesterday he was here in worship, and after I told this story, after worship, he goes, still kind of angry about that. I was like, oh, come on, yeah, great story. Nonetheless, I'm reminded that even in the moments where I am actually lying flat on my back, when it matters most, my brother's not going to leave me there, he's going to pick me up, and he's going to have my back. Even perhaps when he's the one who puts me there in the first place. But as silly and as ridiculous as that story sounds, I've been thinking about it more so in light of what we heard tonight from Galatians chapter 6. And especially what Paul says in chapter 2. Paul tonight, verse 2 of chapter 6. Paul tonight gives us a glimpse into the biblical version of when someone says, I got your back. Paul calls it bearing one another's burdens. But let's start with, I got your back. When someone says, I got your back, it's kind of a casual, and usually it's a very meaningful thing to say to someone. It offers a sense of reassurance and support. I think the most common use of this is when you're going into an argument or having a conversation with someone and you want to make a point. So you go to someone else to kind of test your theory. And when they agree with you, you say, okay, so you got my back, right? And then you go to the other person and you pitch your theory, and whatever they say, you're like, well, this person already agrees with me, right? So you feel a little more confident presenting. You feel confident because you know someone is covering your back. Another way that this phrase gets used, though, is one that maybe you've used before, or at the very least you've heard it before. It's when people say, I got your six. And I was intrigued because I knew that had some significant military connections, so I went and looked up where that phrase originated. And I got your six originated from fighter pilots during World War I. And of course, they're using the face of a clock to designate the time and to say, I got your six, but...